Let me ask you a question. When you hear these Black history stories, have you ever wondered how many people just disappeared, never to be seen or heard from again? How many families were left waiting, wondering, with no answers? Drop a comment if you've heard of the 1866 Memphis Massacre. If you haven't, listen closely, because this one is heavy. It was May 1866 in Memphis, Tennessee, just 1 year after slavery had ended. Black folks, many of them newly freed, were finally building something of their own. They had homes, churches, schools. They were raising families, opening businesses, and serving with pride in the U.S. colored troops. But that pride, that progress, it made people uncomfortable. Memphis was like a ticking time bomb, full of tension, fear, and resentment, and it only took one spark to make it explode. At the time, the Memphis police force was made up mostly of Irish immigrants. Now, yes, Irish Americans had also faced discrimination, but when Black people started gaining freedom and power, even those once treated as outsiders fell in line to maintain the racial order. Because anti-Blackness, that was the one thing that united everybody. By 1866, it wasn't just one group, it was everybody against African Americans. On May 1st, a small altercation broke out between Black soldiers and white police. No one was killed, but rumors spread. Fear was stoked, and white mobs used it as an excuse to attack. For 3 straight days, white civilians, police, and even firefighters stormed Black neighborhoods. 46 Black people were murdered, 75 more were injured, over 100 Black homes were burned to the ground, 4 churches and 8 schools, Black institutions destroyed. Black women were assaulted, families were terrorized. And it wasn't random. Some folks were just waiting for their loved ones to come home from work or church, but they never returned. Others locked their doors, trying to protect their children, but mobs kicked those doors in, dragged people out, and killed them anyway. This was terror. This was punishment. This was a message. Stay in your place. But who were the victims? These weren't just statistics. They were teachers, mothers, soldiers, pregnant women, pastors, kids. Some were chased down in the street. Others burned alive inside their homes, and not one white person was arrested. The violence was so shocking it made national news, and it helped push Congress to pass the 14th Amendment, granting Black Americans citizenship and equal protection under the law. But justice never came for the victims, and it never came for those families. Today you can walk through Memphis and never know this happened. But if you ever find yourself at the corner of G.E. Patterson and South 2nd Street, stop and take a moment. That's the location of Army Park, and that's where a historical marker stands, quietly acknowledging what happened during those days in May. Not far from the National Civil Rights Museum, that marker is one of the only public reminders of the blood that was spilled and the lives that were stolen. The 1866 Memphis Massacre wasn't just about violence. It was about power, about punishing Black progress, about fear of what freedom really looked like. We tell these stories because the silence is loud, because if we don't speak their names, no one will. And because this country will keep pretending none of this ever happened. But we remember, we refuse to get, and we won't stop telling the truth. Have you ever heard of this before? And do you think schools should be teaching it? Tag somebody, share it, because the more we speak up, the harder it is to ignore. Remember to like, comment, and share, and subscribe for more stories that they won't put in your textbooks. Peace.